I have a job for you.
Jeez, it's not another Ark, is it?
No, not again. This time I need a full-scale home renovation.
Noah Construction and Builders is your design and build partner. We do it all, from additions and dormers to full-scale renovations. Schedule your no-cost design consultation today. Visit us online at noahconstruction-builders.com.
Noah Construction and Builders. Through dreams we design, with vision we build.
Welcome to WGBB Radio's MuscleSport Media Live right here, 95.9 FM, 1240 AM. I am your co-host, Joe Pietaro. Anthony Tuminello is not here, but Trevor is, and we will be having a very special guest via telephone joining us in just a moment or two, Mr. Jeff Nadu. And we're going to have a continuation of what we were talking about last week on the show about the NBA gambling scandal and the tie-in with alleged organized crime figures. And Jeff has an extensive video that he's done about this, and he's a perfect person to bring on to do something like this. But of course, none of this would be possible without our title sponsor, Noah Construction-Builders.com. No job too big nor small for the boys over at Noah Construction. Pete and the guys, give them a shout over there, NoahConstruction-Builders.com, and they will get your house, building, business, residence, whichever you need to do. Get it done there through Noah. And also, we want to thank our other content sponsor, Angie'sEmpanadas.com. Angie's Empanadas, their truck all over Long Island, the best of Long Island winter. Their food truck has built a loyal following all across the island, traveling to events and farmers markets. Owners Angie and Mo bring their mouth-watering flavors to hungry customers. Commitment to high-quality, local-sourced ingredient has made them a must-try favorite. Opens Friday and Saturday and Sunday at a local festival or market. Check out their website, Angie'sEmpanadas.com. Find out where they're going to be, or give them a call. Go to the number on their website, and they can come to your big event if you have something coming up. But right now, I'd like to welcome to MuscleSport Media Live on WGBB Radio, Mr. Jeff Nadu from the Sit Down Crime History Podcast. Jeff, how's it going tonight?
Doing good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. I'm a big fan of your podcast. I've been listening for a long time. I split between the videos and the audio one, so I catch sometimes I catch the same ones, sometimes I catch different ones. I enjoy them all, and I'm a big fan of what you do. You do a lot of really, really important research on these topics, and that's definitely what caught my attention. There's a lot of them out there, and when I started watching yours, I picked up a lot of what you were saying, and it just, to me, you were recently on Julian Dory's show, and he said it perfectly. Mafia, alleged mafia, gambling, and sports, who's the guy to go to for that? And it's Jeff Nadu, in my opinion. And great appearance on Julian's show also, by the way. And that's why I wanted to have you on this show, is to talk a little bit about this. My co-host, who's not here tonight, Anthony Tuminello, and I had discussed it previously last Monday night, and I wanted to get a little more in depth and get a little more knowledge on it, and you were the guy for that. So without further ado, let's get right into that, Jeff. You're very familiar with this. You did a great video on it, breaking down the two indictments, and what appears in the headlines is not always what appears. The devil is in the details, I guess. So I guess if you want to just quickly do a quick Cliff Notes version, round up the two different things and why the headlines and the press conference were basically kind of ambiguous, to put it in a nice way.
Well, I think the first thing to understand is that the federal government do this a lot. I mean, this is a long-standing thing, even down to like local police departments. I mean, they want people to believe that they're taking care of crime, and look, in some places they are. You know, people, they'll see descriptors like drugs on the table, a lot of money, guns, you know, and they think, wow, you know, my local department or the FBI, they care about this stuff. And I'm not saying that they didn't do a good job here. But again, I think a lot of the obsession with headlines really kind of took away from the fact that, number one, I mean, there are two indictments. There's one involving individuals getting information from athletes and coaches to wager on sporting events, which most people don't care about. Now, I'm a gambler. I'm a big sports bettor. I care about that because I didn't have that information, and they did. And then I don't want that going on in sports. It's bad. But the other indictment has to do with poker games, which, quite honestly, is going on tonight in New York City. It's going on tomorrow in New York City, and they've been going on for decades.
Yep.
I think, as I said on the Dory interview, the mob really wasn't much involved with either case. I mean, they have always had a grip on illegal poker games. There's always going to be a game where, in some way, you're kicking up to the mob still, whether it's in New Jersey, Staten Island, Long Island, Brooklyn, wherever. The truth is, though, like, Chauncey Billups never called a mob guy and said, hey, bro, I'm coming over to the game tonight. It didn't work like that. They made us believe that it involved NBA players, and they were, like, shaking hands with the Mafia, and that just wasn't the case. I think all in all, though, the case is, as far as the mob's concerned, there's not that much involvement, really, with them.
No, there really isn't. And the Billups thing is a Las Vegas case from 2019 that had nothing to do with these alleged OC cases that took place in New York. And even with just the way the press conference came out of the gate, I mean, I looked at it a few times, and I wrote down some of their quotes, and I rewatched some of it. And to me, it was like they were basically meshing these two things. Even though they did say there were two separate indictments, they were going after, like you said, the dog and pony show, the headlines, the gotcha things, and what are the magic words that they always use when it comes to these things. And we all know that those are the ones that get the most attention. I want to play a quick short clip from the press conference for you. Now, this is from Christopher Rea, who's the Assistant Director of New York Field Office of the FBI. And and then I'm going to make a comment on it, and then I'm going to ask you a question. So just give me a sec to get this playing.
Exploiting the notoriety of some and the wallets of many to fund the Italian crime families here in New York. Let me be clear about this fact. The FBI has not and will never take their eye off the ball when it comes to Italian organized crime in the city, specifically the LCN and the 5 families here in New York. We are not going to permit any criminal enterprise, whether it be Italian organized crime, Asian organized crime, Eurasian organized crime. We are not going to permit any of those organized crimes, families, and organizations to operate in our city or our country, as evidenced by the 11 states that were also participating in this operation today. The FBI office here in New York remains committed to eradicating all unlawful revenue streams fueling this criminal activity.
All right, so you get the gist of it, and I'm sure you're familiar with that clip itself. But I know that you're familiar with Gerard Maroney, who's the VP of the Italian American Civil Rights League, an organization that I'm a member of, and I'm also friendly with Gerard and with Mike Crispy, the president of the league. Gerard is representing one of the guys in the case, Matty Didino. Do you think a clip like that, and he's reading off a prepared statement, do you think a guy like Gerard Maroney was just drooling when he heard that?
Well, I think what makes it extremely hypocritical is about a month ago, his same, Bureau of Investigation made a point to put a press release out that they actually had cut down the amount of FBI groups that were looking into the Mafia. They had,
Yes, they
at one
did.
point, had 5 organized crime squads. They had one for each family. It's down to only 1 now. They made it a point to announce that. Yeah, there's only 1 remaining. It's called C5. So, again, it kind of goes against what he's saying. You know, we're going to keep our eye on them and whatever. Because at this point, they're really not. I mean, the Mafia is, well, to be quite honest, not high on the criminal totem pole. This is all just a headline thing. If you didn't have the mob involved here, this would have been a big story. But it wouldn't be as big as it is now. And if you didn't have Billups involved and the NBA guys, it wouldn't be as big a story either. I mean, there was an indictment last week out of New Jersey involving, one alleged member of the mob and a bunch of college kids in a bookmaking ring.
Yeah.
Didn't get near the coverage that this did.
Yeah,
So,
the Rutgers kids, yeah.
The tough talk is it's something that's normal. All these administrations, and it really doesn't matter who the president is, all these administrations say the same stuff. It's all about headlines. And this current administration is obsessed with the Kash Patel press conferences. They love those.
Yeah. The thing that it was almost like he said something and then went completely opposite, Raya. Must be clear about the fact the FBI did not take the eye off the ball when it comes to Italian. And he emphasized, that's why I wanted to play it, not just read it, Italian organized crime in the city, specifically the LCN, which you already said, that's a ridiculous term to begin with, and the 5 families here in New York, and then permit any criminal enterprise, whether it be Italian, Eurasian, et cetera, et cetera. So he says right away, we're going to go after the Italians. We're not going to let them do anything, but we're also going to go after groups like that. That's why I wanted to make the comment about Gerard representing one of these guys who were being accused of these crimes, because the way that's worded, and like I said, it was a written, prepared statement. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but when you hear something like that, just being around, the circles here, and reading these things and seeing these things, it kind of that just jumped out at me as being something that was I don't know. I just thought it was the way it was stated they're basically trying to put that out there to make that the main thing.
Well, I will say, this must be made clear, and I am not an apologist for the American Mafia. They are some of the worst people in the history of this country as far as the things that they do, and they do prey on a lot of people. That said, to me, I think more of the problem that I think the American public has is, why are we focused on card games that really aren't affecting anyone when the drug trade has polluted this country, when all these different things are happening, and it feels like maybe that we should have a little bit more emphasis on real violent crime and violent criminals than a couple of guys on the Lower East Side making a couple dollars of poker games. But I've always said, when it comes to gambling, when you start affecting a state's ability to earn, as far as one of the reasons that New Jersey and New York and some of these states still pursue gambling cases is they have legalized wagering. For instance, New Jersey, FanDuel and all these different places, they're big business for the state of New Jersey. They don't want some mom and pop bookie down the street getting 20 million in wagers a month, and it's an easy catch. So when you start affecting their money, that's when they really start coming. And the mob has still very good involvement in bookmaking and loan sharking and things of that nature. So I think, again, I'm not going to try to spell that these people are good people. A lot of them are not. And some of the people in this case have some pretty strong charges coming to them. But
yes.
As I said on my show, most of the alleged mob people will plead out, and very few will see even prison time over this. So I think it's all to do about nothing, really. I
totally agree with that. To me, the alleged OC figures are basically being accused of a high-tech mark deck. That's the way I look at it. This is a poker game, and there's a little cheating going on. And the main guy involved in the cheating, Awada, I'm going to botch his last name. Awadi, all right, the Flappy guy, Flappy Poker. He's the main guy here. And, he's obviously not Italian. I mean, you found that one picture of him. You're good at finding these photos. I got to give you that, too. Because, nobody had a photo of him.
Joe, and I will say this. One of the things about these cases that I think is far more interesting is the individuals that are involved with both the sports betting and gambling and poker, they all intersect and know each other, right? And I, for years, pushed that there is a shadowy syndicate of people that are getting information on games. There's been a bunch of investigations by the feds into this stuff, whether it be in college or whatever. And a lot of these names popped up in a case last year involving Jonte Porter, who's an NBA player. He and another person were essentially, he was in debt to these two, Porter, and they basically said to him, look, you know, we need you to do this. We're going to place bets on it. We need you to play ball, and your debt will go away. To one point, even, where Jonte Porter texted him and said, you know, we're probably going to get into a RICO, all of us here with this. And he knew what he was doing, and Awadi's one of the biggest cheaters in this country currently. There's several defendants that are known cheaters and scam artists, both in the poker community, in the gambling community. Some of these people are informants. They've been informants for years. Those are the people that are at the center of this. They came up with the idea to cheat. Some of the defendants in this case, there's a defendant, Curtis Meeks. Curtis Meeks is very well known in the poker community as a cheat. He is a person who established these cheating devices in card rooms all over the South. These are all high-tech scammers, most of them.
Yeah, definitely. And then the thing with Jonte Porter, I mean, if you just read the headlines and you ask the average person in the street after they maybe have saw this on the news or something, they would think that a guy like the Mafia figures were going up to guys like Porter and Billups and get right. That's the way the whole press conference was worded. And the press conference, I know that you made a comment about it on the other show, and I totally agree. I mean, first of all, it was sloppy. It was done really bad. Patel couldn't even pronounce some of these things properly. The guy that opened the press conference called the Raptors the Toronto Rangers. I mean, and these were people reading off of press releases that are being released to the people in the room.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I think one thing that I've learned about in the 4+ years that I've covered these types of people and the mob for the most part is I've learned a lot that the FBI, I'm quite concerned by this, is that they're really not particularly strong at building cases. Like, they don't really know that much. I couldn't tell you the amount of times I've spoke to retired and current people in the FBI that have said, you know more than we do. How does that happen?
Because you do your homework and they don't.
And I know, and I look at people like Patel and I think, look, I know how they make cases. They have informants that tell them stuff, and they piece it all together, and that's that. But it is concerning that they can't even pronounce, like, for instance, La Cosa Nostra, if you know anything about Italian, that doesn't even make sense. It's Cosa Nostra, not La Cosa Nostra. He also doesn't even know how to pronounce the stuff correctly. He's calling them the Lucchese.
And he said Casa Nostra. He didn't even though it's been, and that all started from Valachi. That's Strauss. Now, Valachi said La Cosa Nostra back in the late 50s in his hearings, and it stuck with this LCN thing throughout all the years. Even as much as J. Edgar Hoover tried to deny it, and we can that's a topic for another day with what Roy Cohn had on him and why he was denying all of that. But the whole press conference to me was rushed. They wanted to get the headline, and they didn't even put out, like, the most important thing, which they really were talking about, which, like you said, were players and the sitting coaches giving out information to put out there so that themselves. I mean, you had the assistant coach, the LeBron's friend there, taking out $50,000 and giving the guy 15 to place for himself. So
Damon Jones.
Damon Jones, thank
listen,
you.
I think this is important for anyone listening to realize, too, is that in the sports betting side of this indictment, the coaches and alleged players, players alleged that are involved in this, they all have notable long-term gambling problems. Okay? It's pretty common knowledge that in the poker community, Chauncey Billups has played poker for years. Same with Damon Jones. And I'm sure, as you know, if you gamble, when you were a kid, you probably gambled a lot less than you do now.
Yeah.
It's the same when you make a bunch of money. When you start making a lot more money, you start betting a lot more.
Of course.
And I think the thing that I've been most irritated about with this case is well, these people make so much money. Why are they doing this? Well, why do you gamble? Or why does the person listening gamble? They like to do it. That's why. And I think these people got in pretty deep, and this was a good way for them to get out of it. I think some people in this case, for instance, Terry Rozier, I think they have a pretty strong case that, they can state, well, I just gave out information. I didn't know they were going to do anything with it. They were my friends. I didn't do anything wrong here. I think that's the defense they'll use. But, the Damon Jones of the world, Damon's got a real problem here.
Yes.
Tony Billups has a real problem here. But it has to be made clear, neither of those people played in any games run by the mob. They were never, even in the indictment, it said they're playing with the mob. So I think that was pretty lazy reporting there.
Yes, it was like you said, it was two separate indictments, and one is about the I'm going to say, prop shaving and whatever, for lack of a better term, and even in the case with the Blazers and Billups, tanking. Actually losing a game on purpose. So you could say all you want about draft lottery tanking. He was not doing it for that as the primary reason. He was doing it because he was giving out the information to people. Same thing with Damon Jones, saying the two players who weren't going to play, LeBron and Davis. So now people are putting bets on the other team when the Lakers are probably favorite. Now all of a sudden the line's going to change, but they're locked in.
Well, and you're also going to hear a lot of the stuff, the whole tip of the iceberg thing, and I do agree that is, I think, where we're headed here. I mean, if you follow this like I have, I mean, for the last year plus, the NCAA has looked into approximately a dozen players on various universities and colleges around America, and they've all come up with the same thought, that they have been approached by people, not mob guys, just young, hip guys that have a lot of money. Most of the kids that are involved in this are 30, 35 years old. They have a lot of money. They're in the sports betting, handicapping world. They're scammers, and they go to these people and say, look, and they always target a lot of kids that are not making NIL money. They might play at University of New Orleans, and they'll say, hey, man, like, you're not winning. You guys suck. You're not making any money. You want to make 10 grand? Just go out of a game early or something, and I think a lot of them think it will never catch up to them. But this administration is making it a priority to look into it. I think other sports come out. We saw baseball. There was an indictment drop there. I think there'll be other ones as well. So I think it is just starting a bit. And
definitely, and we both interviewed Matthew Bauer, who is right now sitting in federal prison. He went in last month. You interviewed him, I interviewed him, and he definitely he only said what he knew. I'm going to say it. Ohtani was involved in this thing. Bauer can't say that. He shouldn't say it because the guy he was dealing with was Ipe. But we all know that they swept on it. And when I was interviewing Matt, both of us said, like, they open and close this case in record time. And I gave him an example. I said, did the MLB ever try to contact you? He says, one time they contacted my attorney, and this was before, I think they were working on the plea deal, and she says, we're in the middle of negotiations, we're not making any statements to anybody. And they never got a hold of him again. Now, are you familiar with Kirk Radomski, who is involved with the whole MLB steroid scandal?
Yeah, somewhat, yeah.
Okay, now, Kirk's a friend of mine. He actually was a columnist for the magazine for a while. He lives out here by me. Very friendly with Kirk. He is still being contacted by MLB with questions about steroids and masking agents. That was 2007 when the Mitchell report came out. The investigation probably started 2 years before that. 20 years they're calling this guy about steroids, but they don't call Matthew Bauer, who's taking huge amounts of bets and being paid back by Ohtani's account, and they don't even talk to him?
I think that's where, and I want to tell you something, and look, you can take my opinion, you can not take my opinion. Truth is, though, that I've covered this kind of stuff for a while. I feel like I've had the pulse of this case pretty well. I know a lot about gambling and a lot about sports betting. If you actually don't think that, and I can't prove it, I can't come out and say I have proof, and here I'll show it to you, but I have it on a very strong authority that they're some of the biggest athletes in the country right now played poker. They played in these games.
Of course,
Maybe not
yeah.
per se the ones in the indictment, but if you don't think some of these people, I was surprised that certain people weren't in this indictment.
Yeah.
I think it is interesting, and you make a good point how, Ohtani's the biggest player in major leagues right now.
Sure.
You also look at the players in this case. I mean, Terry Rozier's not exactly LeBron James or anything. I mean, a lot of these people in this case are lower level or they're assistant coaches.
They're expendable.
Exactly.
Ohtani's not. Yeah.
Like that, right.
Yeah. I mean, Billups is a Hall of Famer, but right now he's just a coach, and it's the coach of a lousy team.
Who, by the way, if we're being technical, was not named in that indictment. He was.
You're right.
It was believed that it's him. But,
Yes.
I mean, there's been no charges brought on him in that case. He's only been involved in one insular poker game in 2019 in which he cheated or allegedly cheated. Now, I do have on good authority, and I've spoken to various people in the poker community that know it is common knowledge that he has done stuff like this for years in poker games. It's not a big secret to a lot of that community.
But, I mean, just think about that. Who cares? I mean, Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley were gambling like crazy on the golf course. Good for them.
But I think, to me, Joe, the problem that I have as just like an ethical type of thing, it's pretty, I think, to me, low of you, as far as Billups, to bring friends of yours to a game you know is cheated, right?
You got a point.
And again, like,
that's a point.
I know when I go to the Borgata and I play poker, I know that, that case,
square game.
game's on the up and up.
Yeah. Yeah. But
But,
as far as these big names at these poker games, besides the shuffling machine and all of that stuff, just the big names. Like the Sopranos with LT and Frank Sinatra Jr., the executive game. Like you said, we know this has been going on forever, and it doesn't affect anything as far as the integrity of the sports betting world, unless this guy gets into like with Porter. He got himself in a debt and he had to work it off. So unless it creeps into that territory, I mean, they're going after these things because they were connected to this OC case.
I think all the people involved in this sports betting indictment, I believe they also owed money. I don't think there'd be any other reason to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Even the MLB one, I think both those individuals were gamblers. I think they owed money to people because no sane person that makes the money they were making would do this.
$5,000. Yeah, Class A for $5,000. Then they bumped it to $7,000, and he got Ortiz, and he got his taste.
He owed somebody money.
Yeah, I mean, it seems that's probably the case. We got about 2.5 minutes left, Jeff. I definitely want to get you on again or on my YouTube MuscleSport TV, so we'll have a little more time. I think we're just basically barely breaking into this thing. I think it's going to grow huge. I know I saw a clip with, I know you're friendly with Joey Merlino and Little Snuff with Joe Perry, and they were talking about they're going to probably have to do away with these prop bets and stuff like that. What's your feeling on that?
It wouldn't matter. They're not going to do that. These companies, at the end of the day, are $10 billion, $20 billion companies. If you eliminate a prop bets, well, now you'd only become like a $500 million company. Prop bets are extremely lucrative, and what that would do is that would push all of that action offshore, which is where you cannot regulate it.
Yeah.
The fact that this is regulated, that will never happen. Would they maybe take less money on those games? Yes. And those props, like the fact that they were taking so much money on rebound props and assist props is pretty crazy to me. But they're not going to eliminate props. And even if they did, it would just shift offshore, and then you couldn't regulate it. So they're not going to do that.
I got to give you props also that you're the only guy that I know in anywhere, any medium of any type, any platform that had the farmer connection with this case. I'm from Bensonhurst. I grew up 2 blocks from Tally's. I dated a girl in high school that was like 3 doors down from that house on 60th Street, and I remember exactly when that happened. And when I first saw that name, I knew it, but I was like, nobody's mentioning the connection here. You were the only guy, even though it's only a cousin, you're the only guy that brought the connection out. So I think, kudos to you for that, too.
Are definitely an interesting family inside of a family, from Danny to Lee to the cousin. So it's all very technical based, but that's how this world is. Everybody seems to know people, and there's this connection here and that connection there, and I try to just piece it together the best that I can.
Yeah, no, I just being a Brooklyn guy and growing up in that area for most of my life, and then I moved out to the island when I got married. As soon as I saw that name, I was like, "Oh wow, when are they gonna, bring up the 1989 incident?" And they never did. You're the only guy that did. So,
well, yeah, I think because it's a cousin. The cousin did the Yusuf Hawkins thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the drug thing. Yeah, no, that was a family affair there.
Oh yeah. But you would think just to get more headlines, they would have brought everything in. I mean, they're just throwing everything out there that gets attention.
Like I said, I do know some things people don't. So
Yeah.
maybe that's just the difference when you listen to me. I don't know.
Yeah, no, well, definitely. I think your FBI friends are on the money when they say you know more than they do. But you're doing your homework and the legwork and putting the preparation in there. Jeff, we got to leave it there because we got a hard out coming up. I'd like to thank you so much. Please give out your props, your plugs, and all of that stuff for your podcast and everything else.
Yeah, you can check me out on YouTube, Instagram, really everywhere. iTunes. My show is called The Sit Down with Jeff Nadu. It's a crime mystery podcast. I do a lot of normal, everyday stuff right now that's going on, though, if you're into that. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure is all mine, Jeff. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
Guys, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you for joining us this week on WGBB Radio. We'll see you Monday night.
Noah, I have a job for you.
Jeez, it's not another arc, is it?
No, not again. This time I need a full-scale home renovation.
Noah Construction and Builders is your design and build partner. We do it all, from additions and dormers to full-scale renovations. Schedule your no-cost design consultation today. Visit us online at noahconstruction-builders.com.
Noah Construction and Builders, through dreams we design with vision we build.